Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on SI and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider podcast. It's great to be with you this evening. It's rather late here. It's still Tuesday evening, I believe. I just want to double check so I don't think so I'm not wrong. It is for a little bit more. This is my day one recap of the 2025 NFL Combine day one recap. Got a lot of information for you. We put up, I believe, over 20 articles today, tons of breaking things that was literally breaking every moment. We got a chance to talk with Andy Reid, who had been with John Spytek at Philadelphia, and got his comments on John Spytek. We got um, uh, Mike Vrabel talking about Tom Brady. We were able to get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers um, general manager to talk about John Spytek. We had Pete Carroll from the podium. We had John Spytek from the podium. Tomorrow, we've got, I think it's over 20 minutes off podium with Pete Carroll that you're not going to see. And it's going to be fantastic. I think you're going to love it. So let's just start talking about observations. I'm going to give you some. So let me first of all say that I have been mentioning to you the Raiders in the running game, and Pete Carroll is lauded as for his offenses and his quarterbacks, but underrated, meaning not underrated in the football world, but by fans, is he's always had an elite running back when he's been successful. And the Raiders certainly have not given up on Sincere McCormick or Zamir White, but they want competition. They want to add a running back or backs to this team. I still think that there's a good chance, depending on how some things fall out, that they could trade back from 6 and still get a Genti and pick up some more picks. I think that's a real possibility here, but I don't think I can stress to you enough the commitment that this group has to running the football. Second of all, I want to talk about the offensive line. I mentioned this the other day and got a lot of email from you when I said I don't believe that the offensive line is as bad as people think it is. I can tell you, I don't believe they believe that either. You got a lot of young guys. JPJ really thrived this year. And this is no slam on Andre James, who was injured. So don't take it that way. But JPJ went to center and dominated. Dylan Parham has played so well and consistently. And then Jordan Meredith was one of the best guards in all of the NFL. Then you had Thayer, obviously before the injury, playing well, but Delmar DJ Glaze, the mule, has played very well last year, very well. And of course, Colton on the other side. They're going to be getting rid of some bodies there. They need to draft because you always want everything better and better and better. But there is some great, I think, day one starters who may not get to start on the Raiders because there's already some good guys there that they can go as deep as the 5th round. So I think those are some big names. In my last mock, I've only done one so far this year. I had him taking Noble Gray because I think he may fall to the 2nd round, which he is a 1st-round talent. But there are so many bad drafters. I could see him making it to the 2nd round. But I certainly think Ashton Genty is absolutely in play for them. I think they can they can trade back and still get him or get an Omarion Hampton, who is another guy with a 1st-round grade. I know there's a lot of people that like the Iowa running back and a couple of running backs out of Ohio State that Chip Kelly already is familiar with. So, but they are going to add running backs and they are going to absolutely be committed to running the football. It's not going to be like last year where AP said we're committed to it and Getsy did whatever. That's not going to happen. They are going to be committed to running the football and protecting the football and playing elite defense. Now, I've already talked to you about this one. This is all stuff from here at the Combine. I've said to you before, if Abdul Carter is sitting there at 6, which although there is a chance, I never thought Brock Bowers would be there at 13, and neither did they. In all of their mock drafts, they never one time had Brock Bowers there at 13. Okay, not one time. So I feel the exact same way of Abdul Carter at 6. He is a dude. He's a stud. A stud. But there are scenarios. If he falls to 6, I don't care who's on the board. I think they nab him at 6. Just nab him. He is an elite player. He's a speed guy. Different game, but I'm told by several people they think there is a ceiling of him of a Derek Brooks. That's phenomenal. I mean, in there are others. Mason Graham, a dominant defensive tackle. Can you imagine him with Christian Wilkins and uh, Adam Butler and John Jenkins? I mean, and I can keep talking more and more and more. Lalu, I mean, there's more. There's so much talent there. So you know what? If there's an elite guy that drops, now I'm going to tell you right now, I think there'll be at least 2 dudes heading into the draft. That's kind of what I'm hearing. I'm hearing more than 2 names, but not enough people saying the third. I'm actually hearing 4 names, but only 2 that everybody, one that everybody's talking about, and 2 almost everybody. I want to talk to a few more people before I'm willing to talk about that, and that's Abdul Carter. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. I believe there is absolute interest, and if it's feasible and affordable, I could see the Raiders moving up and grabbing Cam Ward. He is the best quarterback in this class, and it's not even close. And does that mean that he is a dude? No. Does it mean that he's done a lot really well? Yes. Does it mean there's a lot of reasons to be extremely optimistic, like um, you saw with CJ Stroud and Jaden? Yes. Yes. But I can see that, especially after being here and you know talking to so many people. I could certainly see that. I know there are some people who are absolutely in love with Shadur Sanders, absolutely in love with him. Um, we're just going to see how this all plays out. We're going to be interviewing him later this week. We'll have all the video for you. I don't dislike Shadur at all. And I'm not saying that Shadur can't become a great quarterback. I want everyone to hear that because I've heard someone say, Hondo, why don't you like him? I do. But to me, 6 or earlier is just too big of a risk. You want him to be that, and I hope he is. Great kid, but it's a huge risk. And I talked with one general manager today. In fact, I'm going to have a meal with him this week. Um, and he said to me, he goes, I think Cam Ward's the best. I've got a first round grade on him. He goes, but I'm not touching Cam Ward inside the top 10. He goes, there are just way too many top 10 talents. And I said to him, what do you think? He goes, I'll tell you exactly what I think. He goes, I think there's going to be a lot of top 10 talents that falls in this draft. And that's when I asked him, and that's when he said to me, it's like you having Gray Zabel fall into the second. He goes, there's no way in the world he should. And he told me, I love Zabel. I would pick him where we were at in a heartbeat. But if there are guys that we think are better than him, not necessarily at his position, but better, he goes, the Raiders would have taken Talise Fawaga, but Bowers was there. And so, I mean, it's just fascinating. I'm going to tell you right up front, I'm more fascinated for this draft than probably, well, I not probably than any draft in my adult lifetime. I can think back to a couple of drafts when I was a kid that was really a big deal, but none is like this one. None like this one. And so the Raiders are absolutely solidified and committed to running the football. They are going to be a running football team. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit. I would not be shocked if Bobby Wagner ends up here. I wouldn't be shocked if a DK Metcalf ends up here. I think that there's going to be a very commitment to the Raiders re-signing their free agents, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I have said to you before that the past regime was looking at a 1-year prove-it deal with Malcolm, but I was unsure they would get to keep him because I think there are teams that would give him more than 1 year and pay him more. I think the Raiders may be there. I think they may be willing to go different than the previous regime. So I think there's a good chance. I'll tell you right now, I think there's a better than good chance that obviously Max is going to get a deal done. I've already told you, I broke the story that they have it in their budget. Max is going to get a massive deal. They're going to make the play for TRE'VON Merrick. They're going to make a play for Adam Butler. If they make a fair offer, they will get to keep Spill. But I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of teams that really like Spilly. And I think there may be some teams that are willing to overpay for Spilly. So it's just going to be, that's going to be very interesting to watch. I know that they would like him back. I know that he would like to be back, but he has to consider that. Now, the other thing he has to consider is he's in Nevada with no state income tax. And I'm not getting political. Every time I mention that, people are like, stay out of politics. Shut up. I'm not. I'm talking reality and truth. And so that's a very, very big deal. And but I think the Raiders are going to make a huge push for their free agents. And I would expect, I mean, we saw Isaiah Palomau. How about him? Congratulations, IPM. Love that kid. Just love that kid. He's just, if he wasn't a football player, he's the kind of kid every dad wants their daughter to marry. He's just salt of the earth. He's just a great human. Just a really, really great kid. Um, I talked with several of the players today who watched the video I put up of Pete and of John at the uh, at the combine here. So I got to talk to some of them. There's just a bunch of excitement among the players for Pete Carroll and a lot of excitement for Pete Carroll and the staff that he's put together. And so as you start looking for the draft now, we begin tomorrow. We're going to have massive amounts of video interviewing players for you guys. Now, some of you, because of how late this is, are probably already watching this on Wednesday. I apologize. I'm going to try to get you tomorrow's earlier, significantly earlier, tomorrow's podcast. But those are things that they're paying close attention to. These are things that are a big deal to them, and it's getting their guys signed. But they want tough, disciplined football. They want a defense that's going to smack you in the face and be fast, that's going to harass you. I had someone use the term, and I've used it before, but I've heard someone actually use the term today to be hostile, agile, immobile. That's a very big deal. And I will tell you that it was fascinating to me. I had so many requests to do media today. There's a Radio Row here. I've had a ton of people, national shows. Hey, can you do a show? Can you do a podcast? Can you do a radio show? Where everyone wants to talk about the Raiders because there's a lot there. And I just think it's going to be fascinating to watch. I just think this is going to be fascinating. And if you didn't get a chance to watch the videos with Pete Carroll and John Spytek, I really encourage you to do that. And then tomorrow, I think it's going to publish in the 8 o'clock hour. We're going to have all of Pete Carroll's roundtable. So don't miss that. I appreciate all of you. It is just a joy and a privilege and an honor to serve you as your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer. It's an honor. I don't take it for granted. And I want you to know when I'm talking to general managers or I'm talking to scouts or I'm talking to executives or players or whatever, or NFL league executives, whatever, I am constantly mindful that I work for you guys and that I'm your eyes and ears in this building. Well, I'm in my hotel room right now, but in that building, in the Indianapolis Convention Center, and in the Lucas Oil Stadium, I know that that's what I am, and so it is a privilege to serve you, to bring you all this information, and to really dig in with you, and to bring you the latest with the Raiders. I think an identity is coming to view. Um, I know there's a lot of talk about Raiders have already tried to make a deal for a trade. That is, I can tell you right now, that is categorically false. They have called and inquired on what would it cost to move up to your pick. We talked to the Giants general manager about that today, about, have they made a decision what they're going to do? But they have made no decision on moving up or down. The Raiders have not made that yet. That comes later. Now is not the time. Right now it's investigation time. But a lot of good stuff happening from here at the combine. Tomorrow we're going to have a lot of stuff on players, but I think it's starting to come into view. The Raiders want to prioritize their free agents to keep guys here, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because everybody, they keep Robbie Leonard, they keep Patrick Graham. Those guys know um, what they want. I don't think that they're going to keep everybody, but I don't think it's going to be other than Robert Spillane as a potential, and losing him would be a massive loss. I don't see any massive losses. And again, Spillane is just going to be dependent upon, the Raiders making him a good offer and them deciding, okay, we're willing to take less or even not even less, but we're willing to take market value and not go out and see what's out there, because there's a ton of teams that want Robert Spillane. A ton. A ton. I believe, talking to people around the league, that he could get a 3 or $30 million deal, 10 a year. Everybody seems to think the sweet spot with him, meaning the optimum market price, is probably a little north of eight or a little north. But there are some teams, because he's so good and they're just a couple players away, Buffalo, that they'd be willing to overpay. And that's what this is going to come down to. But a lot of stuff coming out at the Senior Bowl. I mean, at the combine, a lot of interesting things at quarterback, and just keep your eyes on Stafford. Just keep your eyes there. And remember, the more amount of money the Raiders are willing to eat, the lower the draft pick. Okay. I want you to think about that one. So of course, the Rams are going to say they want a 1. Okay. Of course they are. Now, I do not think that it is, and I have reason to believe this. So this is not speculative. I don't think it's a slam dunk that Matthew's coming to the Raiders. I do think it's a possibility. I am not yet willing to call it a probability. And when this is all over, if he doesn't come, if one of you will email in, I will tell you why tonight at the first night of the draft. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm tired. Why at the first night of the combine, I thought it was, a possibility, but not a probability. Just as you know, sometimes if things work out, there's no reason to say things. But I would be glad to tell you that if you'll remember to ask me. So a lot of great stuff. The Raiders are really the topic of discussion here, which is really unique. But they've got Brady, they've got Carroll, and they've got an early pick. I will tell you this. Well, I want to wait and talk to one more person. So I'll wait on that till tomorrow. But again, thank you for joining us. I hope you're enjoying all the video. I appreciate every one of you. Again, I think we had over 20 stories today at si.com/NFL/Raiders. Tons of stuff that was breaking here. So we just wrote it. And someone said, man, you guys used the term breaking in a bunch of your titles today, because we had a lot of breaking news, stuff that literally just broke, just happened. And it's because we were asking the questions. So we got 5 of us here working our tails off for you. Lots of great coverage. Thank you for being with us, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful day. God bless you. We'll see you on Wednesday earlier